What up, y'all? It's Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast with me, Nat, and big hair Justin. How are y'all doing? You need to definitely make sure you watch this episode on video so you can check out Justin's hair. You know what they say, big hair don't care. Ow.
You got big hair too, so.
Yes, I know, but I always have big hair.
That's true.
Justin got a little fro. What made you switch up the hair, Justin? You got a hot date?
I'm just in between styles right now. Probably.
Ooh, y'all hear that? In between styles.
Yeah, I'll probably do my hair the next few days or something.
You go to someone to do your hair, Justin?
It depends. If it's braids, yeah. If it's like a 2-strand twist, I just do it myself.
Oh, you know how to do the 2-strand twist? So when you have a daughter, you'll be able to do her hair.
Yeah, depending on the style. Yeah. We might just be brushing and ponytailing it.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, yes, you have very nice, healthy hair, Justin. It's looking good.
Thank you. Trying.
You're very welcome. All right, y'all. But for real, let's get into it. The Warriors, Justin, so far are undefeated in the preseason, 3-0. They have now played the Lakers twice, once at Chase, the other in the cursed, what's the name of that arena now?
TheCrypto.com.
I just can never do it. In the cursed Staples Center. And then they played the Kings, went to overtime, but won. Mm-hmm. So they are 3-0. And there's a lot to get into. So where would you like to begin, Justin? Would you like to begin with the fact that everybody's jumping on your year 3 leap take for both Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody? Do you want to start there or do you want to start somewhere else? You know, it's all up to you.
I mean, we can start there. Like I've been telling people, and then I mean, there's other takes that I've had over the summer that we have to wait on and see. But
you feeling good about them?
Feeling good about them.
Okay.
Feeling good about them.
Well, let's start with Kuminga because I do think he's been in an off season. Well, not an off season because we're in the preseason now, but in a preseason where people were so focused on what Chris Paul was going to look like with the Warriors. Jonathan Kuminga has stolen the show in this preseason, right? Like he is putting up astronomical numbers. And to me, they are numbers that are going to have to force the Warriors to consider playing him a good chunk of minutes, you know, if it continues like that. And yes, we all get it. It's preseason. But I mean, he's scoring close to 30 efficiently. He's knocking down some threes. His free throws could get a little better. But overall, he's been attacking. We need to get those rebounds up some. But he's been playing well, Justin. He's been playing well. And I mean, the Warriors need that. Now, obviously, he's probably playing more right now than he would once they start because we know the starters and everyone are going to play more minutes. But if he's giving you this kind of production and output, he should be having the same amount of minutes that Jordan Poole was having last year, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, probably like a week ago, I made the comparison of him to Jordan and Chris Paul to Otto Porter. I think that's just kind of like the dynamic that's going to be at play for this team to be the most successful, where Chris Paul kind of just sets the table for Kuminga, but Kuminga is the ceiling raiser, young piece that can just do things that other people on the team can't do, and that it kind of fills a need for the team. And probably somewhere around 20-ish minutes a game when the entire team is healthy and playing, and then pushing up 30-ish when somebody's out is probably like the sweet spot for him right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, what kind of output, if he's playing somewhere in that range, are you expecting from him in terms of points? What is he averaging? What is his stat line looking like?
Mm-hmm. I think he'll be somewhere around 13, 14 a game. You know, I mean, you can try to, I guess, translate that to like per 36, something like 20-ish or something a game. Like kind of like how Jordan was doing. Like when he played with the starters and played starters minutes, he usually put 20 plus up. And if he was playing off the bench, it was closer to like 14, 13, but in a limited, span against second units and stuff like that. And if he's playing well, he'll play more minutes, probably finish some games and stuff like that. So the sky's the limit for him. He's still really young, so he makes young guy mistakes still. He's had a few of those in the preseason, but I think overall, you got to be happy with the ceiling that you can see on him. Like, it's already jumping off the page, athleticism, attacking the paint, getting free throws. That's another huge thing that Jordan brought that Kuminga can now bring. And just offensive versatility as a scorer, as a screener, just other things.
And they call fouls for him, so that's why we
Yeah.
need him to make them.
Yeah, I mean, you got to call fouls. He's such a physical specimen. Like, he's 6'8", 6'9", like 210 ish. Kind of wiry, but still strong and super explosive. And then once he's running in transition, guys can't stay in front of him. And if they do stay in front of him, he's kind of like going through your chest. So you got to foul. Like, he's just too explosive. So yeah, he's gonna draw a ton of free throws. And they're going to be authentic. Like, they're going to be, because guys can't physically match him. Either they're too slow or they're too weak. So, yeah, he's going to be a high free throw rate type of guy for sure.
Love that for us.
Right.
Love that for him and love that for the team and love that for us, the fans who watch. So I saw like some takes on Twitter, X, whatever, but I've seen a few of them. So like one was being like, see, this is why I'm not sold on us needing Chris Paul or blah 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 blah. The basically the moves they made, because like look at how Jonathan Kuminga is playing now. So it's just like he doesn't need all this. Chris Paul's gonna raise his level. They don't need that. And I was just like, I don't think that the way he's playing right now doesn't mean that Chris Paul won't still elevate him even more. I think people need to remember that this is the preseason, and when like games are real, it'll be harder competition out there. He'll be defended differently. It's his first year, not his first year, but like if he does continue like this will kind of be like his breakout year. So it'll be interesting to see how teams guard him. Whereas like, with Jordan Poole that first year, the second year they came back and now teams were like, scheming for him a little bit more. So I expect, Jonathan Kuminga to like perform well, but I still expect Chris Paul to elevate him. I don't think that those are like mutually exclusive things.
Definitely not. And like you just said, it's preseason. They've given him a super long leash, like to ISO all he wants. And so many plays have run through him. His usage is kind of through the roof right now. And he's had a few turnovers. His decision making needs to improve. Like I said, he's a young guy. Like, he gets a little bit boisterous sometimes and tries to isolate players he probably shouldn't in that moment. So having Chris Paul definitely will reel him in a little bit and have him be put in more advantageous situations more often.
So that he doesn't feel the need to go ISO like that.
Yeah, and just someone to tell him like, yo, you probably shouldn't isolate Anthony Davis on the block. Like, that's not going to go well. You probably shouldn't try to ISO LeBron. Like, you can try him, but we can probably get a better shot. Stuff like that. Like, there's been a few instances where he goes kind of like a bull in the china shop and just like loses the ball a little bit and stuff like that. So I think Chris Paul is going to help with that. And like Chris Paul has been largely saying for the training camp media and stuff like that, like, he's there to help the entire team. He's not necessarily there just to help Kuminga. Like, obviously that's a huge thing that he can do. And that can be a piece that swings the ceiling of the team. But the team in general needs additional ball handling, like Kuminga or not. We saw last year in the playoffs, Kuminga wasn't even playing, and they needed someone who can handle the ball and run an offense outside of Steph Curry. Like, once he sat, the offense went down the drain because guys just weren't playing well who were supposed to be in that role. So, like, the team needs a Chris Paul type of player. We've seen Pods do it in the preseason, but he's a rookie. They need ball handling outside of Steph. That's just something that's apparent, right? Like, it is clear as day. So whether Kuminga is there playing with Chris Paul or sitting on the bench, or Chris Paul starts, or whatever the case may be, he isn't really tied to Kuminga's minutes. They still need Chris Paul. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah. Well, you brought up ceilings. And so there was another tweet. And I think you and I both engaged with it. And we had slightly different takes, but nonetheless, we both disagreed with the person's tweet. And it was about the fact that, like, based on watching, Chris Paul only raises the Warriors' floor and not their ceiling. And so I think you responded and were like, he raises the floor and ceiling. I responded and I was just like, well, I don't really see the issue with that, even if that's true, because the Warriors' ceiling was always championship. Like, with their core, it was always championship. So it's not like they had a ceiling that was low. Their ceiling was a championship. And I said, I think the bigger issue that needed to be raised was the floor anyway, more so than their ceiling. So if that's true and he's raising their floor, that is a good thing. So I didn't really even see the issue with that, even if that was the takeaway. So I don't know if I agree that he only raises the floor, but I just, even if that were true, I think that's a good thing. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're correct. Like, this team's floor last year was so low. It was starters or bust. It was Steph or bust, pretty much. Well, this year they have so many more options, especially outside of the starting lineup, that can help ease the load for their starters. So those guys are fresh in the playoffs, and those guys ultimately are the team ceiling, right? The five that we know, very specific matchups can give them issues in different ways. So you need players who can fill in for one of the starters based on matchup, and that ultimately raises the team ceiling. Like we saw in 2022, they had the same starting five. Jordan came in when they needed additional ball handling and offense. Gary came in when they needed additional athleticism on the perimeter and defense. And Otto came in when they needed a front court player that can make shots and stretch the defense out in a way that Looney and Draymond can't. So he could play with Looney or Draymond. Whereas this year, they have Chris Paul in that Jordan Poole role as far as ball handling goes. Gary is still Gary. Kuminga is more so that front court player that can finish plays, and Dario kinda as well. So they just have those same options, but it is absolutely necessary that you have that ball handling option, right? It might not be the best option against a team like the Lakers with a ton of defense and size on their front line and on their perimeter as well, but you can absolutely use him against a team like Dallas or like Memphis or something like that, where you just want some extra offense out there because Memphis's defense on the interior is a little bit too much to handle with just Steph as your primary ball handler. So it's just different matchups that's going to work, and they have different options. That's all they really need is options outside of their starters. So that's why I think Chris Paul, along with Gary, along with Kuminga, along with Sarge, raises their floor, especially in the regular season, but it also raises their ceiling because it gives them different options for different matchups in the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I've liked everything that I've seen so far from Kuminga in the preseason. And I think it bodes well for how the Warriors year is looking. So really excited and happy for him. He seems to also be in a good place. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that, which is important, right? Because we've heard mixed things about him, but he seems to be in a good place. Team seems to be pleased with him. I would say, by the way, they're sort of centering him and focusing on him in this preseason. That is an indication of that they plan to utilize him in the regular season. So these are all like really good things and positives. In terms of, you talked about some things, his decision making, that needs to improve, some other things. Anything else you see that should be a focus for him or that he should be working on? I know I mentioned rebounding. I still think he needs to grab some more boards, but anything else?
Defensive attention. Like, he's one of the, I think it all ties in together. Like, he'll try to make a play offensively, and he's so hell-bent on making that play that if it doesn't go right, like he turns it over or misses a shot or doesn't get a foul call, he has a tendency to like redirect that aggression towards a singular point on a defensive end. Like, he's like, I'm just going to get it back all in this possession. I'm going to pick this guy's pocket, or I'm going to strap him down, and then he might lose sight on like, oh, his man is actually behind him or something like that. So he's kind of laser focused a little bit too much on defense at times when he's off the ball. So that's the only thing that I think defensively he needs to really work on. I like the way he's been crashing. Like, I think in general, teams shoot so many jump shots that it's just hard to like really get in there and grab as much
Odd
rebound.
grabbing them rebounds. I want to hear that, Justin.
But the thing is Pods is a guard, so like he can track down the far rebounds. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many more long rebounds in today's NBA because guys are shooting so many threes that it's harder for bigs to get like as many rebounds as they used to, unless you're
That's fair.
Kavali, unless you're Looney. But he just grabs everything. But yeah, I think defensive attentiveness, that's one thing, and then like offensive pace, decision making, stuff like that. But I think Chris Paul is going to help with the offense, and Draymond is going to make sure that he's where he's supposed to be on defense. So I think it's not really going to be that much of an issue.
Okay. All right. Well, with that said, I think it's only right that Kuminga got his own time and his own special, personal, only Kuminga segment. Because, like I said, he's been the star. He's been the story of the Warriors preseason. In my opinion, I think he's been the story of the preseason. But he is not the only player who's been playing well. So let's talk about some more of them. Let's talk about your boy Moody. Let's get into Moses Moody Moses. Let's talk about Moses Moody because he has been also pretty efficient. Just all around good play from him. And it's also a good sign because he was another person we were relying on and felt it necessary to take a year 3 leap. So it's looking like he's on track to do the same. What are you seeing from Moses that you really like?
Steadiness, consistency. Like, I mean, his nickname is Stay Ready for a reason. He doesn't really he don't really play outside of himself. Like he doesn't do anything like the things that Kuminga can do sometimes, getting himself in trouble, like trying things. It's part of the reason why Kuminga is, has such a high ceiling, but it's on the opposite end. Moody reels himself in a lot more, which is a part of the reason why his floor is so high. That's why he got playoff minutes and he doesn't really hurt you when he's playing in high leverage moments. I would like to see him explore his own skill set a little bit more in certain situations, right? I think sometimes he might drive or he'll do the D Lee thing where he'll like pump fake and drive a little bit, and he'll think to himself, I probably can't finish his layup. So he dribbles back out and passes it, which kind of eats some clock. And I think he's talented enough to, try some things. But other than that, just stays ready, like hits open shots, doesn't shoot bad shots on defense.
Looking good.
Three's looking good. Like I've been said, I think his mechanics and like his mentality, I think he'll be hovering around 40% probably at his best. He should be around 40% this year with the looks that he's going to get. Running in transition, active on defense, active hands. So, I mean, I think he's an underrated defender. I think he's going to surprise some people this year defensively with the things that he can do. He's kind of like an Andre disciple with how he uses his hands. So, yeah, he's just been solid. Like, that's just the name of the game with Moses Moody, just very solid.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy for Moody. He deserves that. And I mean, honestly, he's been showing now for the past 2 seasons that he can contribute and help. It was really, really ridiculous that he wasn't having more time. So we're not going to rehash all of that. It's a new season. But Moses Moody Moses, looking good, looking good. Stay ready. You know what I'm saying? So while Corey Joseph has been out, Pods is like, y'all need to take a look at me. And that's going to become an interesting conversation because he played very well in the preseason.
Yeah, he's been hooping. He's really smart, really skilled. I think the most that's been on display is his feel for the game. I know Kerr loves that term, feel for the game, because his shot still is coming along. I think he's been more focused on getting everybody else involved rather than hunting his own shot. Right. So it's kind of affected his rhythm a little bit, but he gets in the paint whenever he wants to. And once he gets in there, he's not rushed. He's not panicky. He makes the right plays. Yeah, he makes good decisions, fakes passes, and then throws the pass to an open guy, manipulates defenses. So he's
great rebounder.
He does it all. Like I put on the timeline, I think maybe 2 weeks ago or something like that. I think his ceiling is somewhere like a D'Lo Dante kind of hybrid, where he just Dante grabs a bunch of rebounds, scrappy, not super duper athletic, but a little quick, strong, isn't afraid to take charges, get his nose dirty. And then D'Lo, the way he kind of snakes pick and rolls and can manipulate defenses, and lefty jump shooter. I think that's Pod's ceiling, which is a really good player if he's that, right. So I'm been super impressed with him so far.
Yeah, and you know what I like? He has the right mindset. He's like, I'm here to be a role player. I'm here to essentially,
Mm-hmm.
he's saying the right things and understands what he's supposed to be on this team. And that's definitely a good thing. I know that's how everybody expected Jonathan Kuminga to be. And I maintain that I didn't expect Jonathan Kuminga to have that mindset. Like, you're a lottery pick, you
Mm-hmm.
fell, like you have the potential to be an all-star level player in this league. Like, no, he's not going to have the same mindset as Pods, but Pods has a really good mindset. He wants to win. So, all good things. Something else that I've really enjoyed about the preseason is that, like, a lot of these games have been won with these guys, right? Like, in the second game with the Lakers, it was our bench, it was the young guys who basically, like, plus GP2, but came in and sort of was just like, all right, like, they were maintaining leads, they were growing leads, they, got us back into games. I mean, they've been tremendous. And I get it. Again, it's preseason, but it's like, that's just like a refreshing thing to see, for us. We know how it goes with the Warriors. So that was definitely a welcome sight. And um Gary Payton the second being healthy is a welcome sight. And like him, I mean, there's lots of little duos and connections you're seeing, but like I like the GP2 and Pods on the court together. They're both like, instant impact guys. They come in there and they're disruptive and they just impact the game. And I've enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing preseason is good for, other than obviously guys building a rhythm, is it's kind of showing you how deep your team could be, like potentially. Um, I mean, I've been on record saying I think the Warriors have the deepest team of any contender in the league. I think they have legitimately 10 guys that can play in a playoff game and make a positive impact. And then now we're seeing with Pods and TJD, like potentially two more guys, at least in the regular season, that can be major positive impact players. So that was a hallmark of the 2022 team. If you look up and down that roster, the on-off net ratings, or the on-court net ratings for like 10, 12 guys was positive. That's unheard of, right? You never see that many guys on a team get on the court and win their minutes. And that's why they won 53 games, even with their team pretty much not being healthy all season. So I think they'll have a similar level of depth this year. And it's just showing in how they're closing these games out with two-way players and rookies, and beating other teams' rotational players and stuff like that. So uh, super excited. I mean, for Pods and for Trace.
For sure. Trace has looked good too. I feel like he's a little bit more underrated story because of just how much, Kuminga and the others have been doing. But I think we all, and Kerr sort of made it clear, like, we expect Trace to get minutes, I mean, he's going to have to be one of our bigs. So
Mm-hmm.
he's going to see minutes, and he has a feel already that seems like he can get on the court and help out a little bit.
Yeah, I like his defensive feel, especially. He's a little jump happy, right? When he's trying to go for blocks and stuff like that. He'll get better at that. But I think his angles that he takes when he's guarding screens, his ability to be physical with bigger guys. When they played the Kings, um, he was matched up with Alex Len at the end of the game, and Alex Len is a huge guy. He's like 7 foot, really big dude, and he's just like boxing him out, getting him out of the way, rebounding over him. So I like Trace's upside. He's one of those guys who isn't seen as having a ton of upside because he doesn't have a jump shot, and he's like a 24-year-old rookie or something like that. But I think he can get a
Those
lot
be the
better.
best rookies. Those be the best
Right.
ones.
Those be the immediate impact guys, right? I think he can in some ways be like a Looney type, but like with bounce, like with some pop to his athleticism. Um, I want to say he ran a screen and roll against the Lakers with Steph, and obviously AD jumped out to Steph, and Steph dropped it down to TJD, and he jumped right into AD's chest and laid it up like and one. So if he can provide some of that pick and roll pop to the rim, that's huge because guys like that always have high impact with the Warriors in short stints, like JaVale and even sometimes Jordan Bell and Damian Jones looked like good players with that type of stuff. So yeah, I think the sky's the limit for both of our young guys, even though they were seen as low ceiling type of flyer picks when they were picked in the draft this year.
Yeah, I mean, right now, when I think of our roster, I don't really see, and obviously you got to let the regular season start, but I don't see anyone who shouldn't get minutes right now
Right.
in the regular season, which is a great issue to have.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't see it. And that's without even going to potential two ways. Like, I just don't see, like, every single person right now of the 13 players who are definitely signed, they should all see minutes. I mean, we were thinking it was going to be Pods, but I think he's made his case for why that should not be the case.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, it's going to be really interesting to see how that's going to all play out. And it's interesting because you can tell, like, Kerr likes what he sees from Pods, and that's the kind of player he likes and trusts. But you also brought in Corey Joseph. And, when you bring in guys like that for those deals, they sort of want to, like, honor them. So it's, but, like, we know there's going to be, like, rest nights for Chris Paul, right? So, like, to me, those are definite nights where, like, you can see both of them. But it's just going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. We don't know what Corey Joseph looks like. So, I mean, he could play himself out of his spot, but he's a solid NBA vet, so I don't think he will. So it's going to really be interesting.
Yeah.
To see how Kerr is going to handle that.
Yeah, I think out the gate, Corey Joseph will probably start in. I mean, I don't even know if Corey Joseph or Paz will be in the rotation once the season starts, right? It's only 48 minutes available at point guard, and Steph and CP are going to probably eat all of those minutes up, unless they're just blowing a team out or something. But I do think Corey Joseph will start out higher than Paz in the depth chart.
Yeah.
And then eventually it might flip, kind of like JTA and Kuminga a few years ago. Because JTA was like, okay, you're a guy, you're a veteran, you know our system. But Kuminga is obviously a guy that we view as a long-term piece, higher upside than you, probably better than you right now. So I think the similar dynamic is going to happen with Kojo and Pods. But thankfully, I think Corey Joseph is a guy who necessarily wouldn't mind that. Obviously, everybody wants to play, but I don't think he's going to be a locker room bad vibes guy. So they prioritize vibes and professionalism. And I think that's what they're going to get this season, even with the team loaded with so many players who can actually play.
For sure. Before we move on to some just like other miscellaneous things, let's talk about our core guys and the new old man and Chris Paul and what we've seen from some of them in the preseason. So we could just like run through them really quickly. So let's start Chris Paul. How have you felt about what you've seen from him so far in the preseason?
Looks pretty good offensively. Looks good. I think on defense, I don't think him in particular has been necessarily compromising like their defense, right? I do think going a little bit too small can put them in compromising positions against certain matchups. I think like the Lakers, right? Because the Lakers have big guards and they have big guards who run a ton of pick and roll with Anthony Davis and LeBron, who are two of the better role threats in the league. So that's just going to be compromising even if you have size. But I think he's looked good on offense. And, we'll just see how the whole starter bench role thing goes. I'm curious to see how that looks when Draymond gets back. But other than that, as far as his individual play, I have no complaints so far.
Okay. What about Wiggs? He was pretty good the other night, but like people were like, he's starting off slow and people get like, so guys, it's the preseason. But How have you felt about Andrew Wiggins?
Defensively, he looks good.
Did you know his rib was broken? I knew he got a rib injury at the end of the season, but I don't remember it being a broken rib.
Yeah, they said it was broke. They said it was like.
Did they say that then?
I think they said it was like.
And I just forgot because I just thought it was like a rib injury. Like,
nah, they said it was a fracture. I think of that. Like, that's why when people people were talking about that series, it's so funny to me. It's like, bro, he was strapping LeBron the whole time, and then once his rib broke, it didn't. He couldn't stop him. But
I'm sure if I go back and listen to our podcast, I probably not. I knew that he was injured, and I knew it was enough to affect him, but I just did not recall that it was actually a fracture.
Yeah, they say you had trouble breathing and stuff like that. Like he was not probably not even close to 50% at that point after the injury, and that was after his best game in that series too, which is
unfortunate. Yeah.
But as far as the preseason, I think defensively he's there. I think offensively they just got to keep figuring each other out with Chris Paul, especially without Draymond, because Draymond is usually the guy that can get him the ball the best. Using Steph's gravity and Clay's gravity, Draymond's usually the guy that makes that pass to Wiggs. And Draymond's obviously also a better screener than what Chris Paul can offer. So just having two good screeners on the court like Draymond and Looney helps Clay and helps Wiggins out a lot. So I think that is probably the biggest reason why both of them haven't looked like peak versions of themselves on offense yet. But main thing I'm looking for with him is defense, because I don't think he's going to be necessarily tasked with scoring 23, 24 points a game. He's just going to get his solid 17, 18, highly efficient, and, he's going to be a defensive monster. So no complaints with Wiggins either.
Well, he said he wants to get back to All-Star. So, I mean, that will be hard. But, if the Warriors have a really good record and he's playing really great defense, he has a chance.
Maybe.
He has a chance.
We're going to push the agenda. But
the year he made it, some people were out. They were injured.
That's facts.
I feel like there's a potential for all those guys to still be injured. I'm not wishing for that, but it's like,
yeah, for sure.
And I'm sorry, but like Andrew Wiggins being All-Star is a much better pick than Jaren Jackson Jr. being an All-Star. Like,
hey,
that shit
I ain't fighting you on that.
That shit was stupid. So yeah, no, like if he is, like if he's not gonna make an All-Star, I want him making a defensive team. If he's doing
that's what I really want for him.
So he got to make one of the two, but we pushing. You already know me and Wiggs and how we roll. So, and by the way, why the hell do you spell Wiggs with one G? It's Wiggins, 2 G's. I need you to stop doing that. It like literally irks me every time I see one of your tweets. I'm like, bro, it's not wearing a hair wig. He has 2 G's.
Oh, I got a meme.
Rotted name. Okay.
I got a meme for you. Hold on.
It is Wiggs. 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 Wiggins. Wiggs. 2 G's.
Wiggs.
That's stupid. What
you
are
like
you
that?
telling me?
Like that? It's his face on a pair of wigs.
That's dumb.
Wigs.
Great. Just 2 G's from now on, please.
It's just an extra character. You only get 220 or however many they put.
Yo, you're nowhere near the limit. Please. It really it triggers me. I hate it. I'm like, why does he keep doing this?
That's crazy that's triggering you. I'm gonna just put AW. I'm gonna just put AW.
What is it with you all, your generation? What is it with y'all? Jesus.
Oh man.
Everything is too much.
If I type the second G, I might as well put the IN in there.
No, it's literally just it's not Wiggs 1G. That is not it. So just stop doing that.
Might be.
Might be where in Justin's head. No, that's not a thing.
All right.
Okay. And Clay, I mean, you sort of already alluded to Clay. I always think when Dre, and the thing about it, I don't even think it would be an issue with Dre being out because Steph also knows how to get Clay going. It's just, I think they're really focused on Steph and CP developing like some chemistry. And so they've just been like really focused on that. But when Dre's not around, that can impact Clay. And Wiggins, as you noted. So I'm not really concerned about any of them, but we're going to get to Clay a little bit more in the next block. But I can't worry about the core guys because like they've already just proven themselves. So like, I'm not going to worry about them ever. Steph has been Steph, I
mean, apparently, according to his trainer, he hasn't shot the ball better in an offseason other than this offseason. So He just comes back better every year.
Listen, this is it. This is the year he's getting that fucking third MVP, okay?
This could be, I mean, the way their team is set up, if they have a dominant regular season run where they're pushing 60 wins and he's just killing, why not?
He'll be in MVP conversations as long as the Warriors at the top, because that means he's playing well. It's just, it's these last few years, it's been these goddamn injuries, right? But I mean, he's going to have to play 65 to make all NBA, and you can't tell me that's not on his brain. It's on all their brains.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for it. I mean, he's talking about Paris and the Olympics and all this type of stuff. So I think he's in just legacy building mode. I think right now.
And then you had Magic coming out talking about, does he have 3 MVPs? Does he have this? Does he have that? And I've always said it. I mean, I know like a lot of people like don't agree with me, especially if you're like Warriors supporters or Steph fans, but I agree. I'm a resume building person. Like, I think he can get away with not having a third MVP if he obviously racks up more rings and finals MVPs. But I really think he does need to get a third MVP. I've said this like every year. So it's not like a new argument for me.
Yeah. It would be nice. I think it would be super cool to see on his
especially getting it late in his career, because he would be like the only one.
I'm pretty sure he'd be the oldest.
Yeah. That's definitely on the agenda for this year.
I want to say since he's gotten in the league. No, LeBron has 4 since he's gotten in the league. But since he became an all-star, no one has more chips than him in that span. No one has more MVPs than him in that span. But Giannis and Jokic have tied him in that span. It would be nice for him to say, no one's got as many as me because I got more than everybody else. That would be pretty cool.
And one of them shouldn't have even tied him. So don't even get me started on that. But anyway, don't make that fucking face.
It shouldn't happen. You talking about Giannis or Jokic?
Jokic.
Oh.
Well, in theory, Jokic could have tied him because I wouldn't have had a problem if he won MVP last year, but he didn't deserve it that second year. So whatever, it evens out, I suppose. But yeah, the fuckery. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, the starters, like I said, I'm not like really concerned about them at all. But we had to at least touch on them a little bit. So Draymond Green has not played at all in the preseason, but I think he's going to play opening night. I do. Like, even if they just put him on a minutes restriction, I have a feeling he's going to play. But I mean, I said that when the injury first happened, even before they were like, 4 to 6 weeks through whatever. I'm like, I think he's going to play. And then it was just like by the next day, like, the swelling's down a lot. And he was like walking. I'm just like, he's playing.
Right. He said he was a fast healer. Right. Yeah, I think he's going to play. I wouldn't be surprised if he played the last preseason game. Actually, I might be, but that would be a pleasant surprise. But yeah, I definitely pencil him in for the first game.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think as long as he gets some time in training camp with them, they're probably going to feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. I mean, it'll probably be off the bench in a minutes restriction, but
just minutes restriction. We don't need to take him off the bench. The Chris Paul thing, we don't need to delay the inevitable. Just get the fucking.
No, Steve, who knows?
No. Steve don't even want Chris Paul starting, so I don't see why.
I hope, but
it's pretty clear that like that's not the plan.
Yeah, and I want to see in one of these last two or both them bring him off the bench and just start either Kuminga or Dario at the 4 and just see how that looks. You know what I mean? Just to be like, yo, Draymond is coming back to this spot. Let's just see. We saw how Steph looked with you and Clay and stuff like that. All right, let's get serious. And let's just, do our 2 big thing in the starting lineup and have you and Kuminga linked in the second unit and stuff like that. And let's see. But who knows how they're going to play it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to a couple of other things, shall we? That 14th spot, because we know they're not filling the 15th. Do you want it to go to Rudy Gay? Have you liked what you've seen from him?
I do want it to go to Rudy Gay, but I would like to see more of him in these last 2 preseason games. I looked through a ton of his film from last year, and he is still really good on defense, like really good. He's one of those guys that's you have like just good defensive players, and then you have guys who are kind of like defensive playmaker types, right? Andre Iguodala is like a defensive playmaker type, where like, he's just getting strip steals and he's just making something out of nothing that leads to easy offense. Gary Payton is probably like the best version of this in the league right now. So Rudy Gay is kind of like that as a forward. He can guard centers. He's bigger than people realize. Like he's like 6'9" with like a 7-foot plus wingspan. He's like 250. Like so he's super solid. He can guard big centers. He can guard fours, and then he can kind of switch a little bit on the perimeter. And he has dumb long arms, so he can block shots, get steals, and stuff like that. He can't jump nearly as high as he used to jump. He barely gets off the ground now, but he's really smart at this point in his career. So I don't see any better candidates right now. And I think he can play that Andre Iguodala role in 2022, where he just comes in super solid defensively and they can just lock teams down for like
our Jeff Green, like the Nuggets had last year.
Yeah. Similar to like Jeff Green, can just provide a little bit more. I want to see his shot come around because he didn't shoot the ball well last year, but like literally his entire career before last year, he shot decent from 3. If he can do that, like if he can knock down like 37% of his threes, rebound, and play super solid defense, that's a really, really good guy to have in your 14th spot, I think. And he's been mentoring the young guys so far from what everybody said, Paz, Joku. So like, I'm kind of locked in on him at the 14th spot, but I want to see him play more in the preseason just to see what he looks like.
So that would be 14 actual players they can put on the court.
14 of them.
You know how I felt, because when you was bringing up names, what did I keep saying? No, I don't want him. I want JTA. I was like, I don't want Andre Iguodala back. When everybody's like, nope. I want all guys who can get on the damn court and play. Like, y'all thought I was being mean, but I've been saying that, right, Justin?
Yeah, I think they learned a lesson from last year for sure. I mean, I think even Lester can get in, and Garuba's probably going to play a little bit too. So with the 15th spot is probably going to go to one of those 2 guys. So now you're looking at 16 players that can get on the court and play. Jerome Robinson got to go. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to convert any of those 2 ways anytime soon, though.
Right, no time soon. They'll probably play in the regular season, though. Depending on, because they'll keep that 15th spot open, so they'll have one of them available to play, kind of like the he who should not be named last year.
So glad he's gone. No team has picked him up, right?
He's like going to like New Zealand or something. Like he's overseas.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Not even there you go. He shouldn't be playing at all, but out of the NBA. There you go.
Yeah.
Now if we could just get Miles Bridges and Kevin Porter Jr. out.
Man.
And all the ones we don't know
and
about.
Apparently Josh Jackson too. Even though I don't think Josh is in the NBA anymore.
It's ridiculous. And I swear if I see Draymond Green put up one fucking post about Miles Bridges.
Right.
Okay. So we're all in on Rudy. I like Rudy.
Yeah. Seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
He hasn't had the opportunity.
Kuminga likes him.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like he's literally just sliding right into the Andre role. So I think it's naturally happening. They should just let it happen. And then I think he can still play a little bit. So.
And hopefully when he plays, then he won't miss like the next month, 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. He seems way sturdier than Andre because he don't jump. Like Andre's old, but he'll still try to dunk on you and stuff like that. It's like, bro, relax.
And then break his back.
Yeah. Literally every time he got hurt last year was because he did something athletic. It's like, bro, just chill.
So the last thing I just want to hit really quickly is the fake reports. And I say fake because like people trying to make it a thing, this whole like Klay and the Warriors being far apart, and that could all be true, but Klay's not going anywhere. And I'm saying Klay's not going anywhere for this reason. Klay could want all kinds of contract. Like You're not getting that. He's going to come to the realization that Draymond has it. You're not getting those contracts anymore, you know?
Mhm.
So you're going to take the team friendly deal.
Mhm.
Right? Because, and even if there is a team willing to play you, again, you going to Detroit, you going to some bad team.
Right.
Like there's no good team that's going to give you the contract that you're looking for.
No good team has the money. It's literally the same thing as Draymond. I don't
That's
know if
why I'm like not even worried about it. And
Yeah.
like you want to finish your career with the Warriors. You don't want to go anywhere else. So like this is all this posturing is like nonsensical. You're not getting it. Like and like honestly, Mike Dunleavy does not feel those sentimental attachments to y'all like Bob.
Right.
He does not. So you guys are not getting Kobe contracts. I
Mhm.
don't even know if they'll give
I don't
Steph a
think
Kobe contract. You're talking about a guy they weren't even willing to give a no trade clause to, and now Mike Dunleavy's in there. So but if the only person who will get a Kobe contract, if it happens, is Steph. That's it. Like you're
Yeah.
not getting one.
And I don't even think Clay's asking for that. I don't think he's asking for a max. It's probably just like 10 to 12 million that he wants, that they're probably just like, yeah, go ahead, see if you can get it somewhere else and we'll match it. But if not, this is what you're going to get. And then Clay's probably like, all right, I'll just wait a little bit. You know, I don't
I
even
mean,
think
you
it's one of
gotta
those.
prove it. If he has like a crazy season.
Yeah. And he's probably like, I'll just bet on myself and you'll see yada, yada, yada. But I don't think they're going to give him anything crazy. I don't think he's even asking for anything crazy. It's just more so like trying to like negotiate a little bit. Like, let me get a little bit more money. Like, and they're like,
No.
let's keep a little bit more money.
No, you got 2 years of being paid max money when you didn't do it. And I get it. It wasn't your fault, but you got 2 years for that. And also they sort of view the second year as your fault. So they do.
Yeah.
They feel he didn't attack his rehab in the proper way. And so, and I don't know. We'll never know. But like they do feel like that. So
Yeah. I mean, I really don't think it's that tense of a situation. I think it's just them trying to get, Clay's just trying to get the most as he can get within reason.
I don't think it's tense at all. I just think like I need them to stop this, but it's like Clay is not going anywhere. But like you're just also not getting. You're gonna do a Draymond deal. I just need you to wrap your head around that.
Yeah, it's gonna be that range. Maybe even a little lower, maybe not, but somewhere in that range, like 22 to 27 a year.
No,
Dre got 25. That's pretty much a Draymond deal. He got what? 4 years, 100 million front loaded. I think.
No, it was backloaded.
Backloaded, yeah. So the last years are like 26, 27, something like that. So yeah, it's gonna be somewhere in that higher than 20, but lower than 30.
Fourth year was an option though.
Yeah.
It's a player option, but it was an option.
Yeah, at that point they're gonna be in the lottery.
Because I ain't want nobody having more than 3 years, but whatever.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't think it's tense. It's just, it is what it is. It's going to be annoying to hear about all season if they don't get the deal done before the season starts, but it's really not anything that's.
Yeah, I don't think it's getting done before the season starts. I think it's going to be, and I think unless he just comes off of it and the team like is willing to agree some great deal, I don't think they should do it because give him something to play for so he does not act silly.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah. And it's also just the whole financial, what's the word they kept saying? Optionality. That in the off season, right? When you got CP's contract to play with, you can trade that, bring in somebody maybe, and then retain Clay using his bird rights afterwards. I think that's how that could work. I don't know. But if Clay's already on the books, then you're already over the cap. Or just, I don't know. It makes more sense to wait, I think, from the team standpoint, and it probably makes more sense to wait from an individual standpoint. So, yeah, I think that's what they're going to do.
All right. Well, that is all I got for today, Justin. Do you have anything else you wanted to touch on?
Nah, that would have been crazy if that ESPN note would have been like Klay Thompson signs new. That would have been crazy.
No, it was just about Austin Eckler.
Got you.
We're not talking any football, so.
No, we're not talking football.
Both the 49ers and Eagles lost, so I can't. Eagles pissed me off. I'm like, man, y'all have a chance to be the only undefeated team. They went in there and acted like they didn't understand the assignment. I was so mad.
Yeah.
But whatever. So, yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in with us. We appreciate you as always. Really, you do need, if you haven't watched this or listened to this via YouTube, you want to go back and rewatch so you can see Justin's big hair because it is a sight to see. Okay. But seriously, yo, thank you for tuning in with us. We appreciate y'all as always. Make sure you're following us on Golden Spaces Pod on Instagram and Twitter, X. That name is so silly. X, just ridiculous. But follow us at Golden Spaces Pod. Make sure you're downloading. Make sure you're telling a friend. Make sure you're leaving a positive review. Make sure you're leaving us a 5-star rating. We're available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you're following us on 95.7 The Game's Instagram. YouTube. You can find Golden Spaces episodes on 95.7 The Game's YouTube channel. So many ways to watch and access us. We appreciate you so much. We're looking forward to this new season of Immaculate Vibes starting and going for number 5 in the Steph Curry era of the Warriors. So until next time, guys, take care.